Next, may I invite Mr. Sudharsan Aravamuthan, APAC Solution Lead, Data Intelligence and Content Solutions, Hitachi Vantara, to present the vision of his company. Sudharsan is the APAC Solution Lead for Business Critical Applications and Converged Solutions with a focus around architecting resilient, scalable, agile infrastructure for workloads such as SAP HANA, Oracle, private cloud, containers. He has been with Hitachi Vantara for about 8 years, spanning over various roles, and has worked closely with customers to spearhead their data center modernization efforts and various digital transformation initiatives.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak. This is Sudarshan. I'm the APAC solution lead for Hitachi Vantara for the data intelligence and content portfolio. The topic of my presentation today is how do we achieve cybersecurity with AI, ML, and data center automation? So let's get started. I appreciate you all taking the time to join us in this presentation. Today, what I'm going to be discussing is how some of our solutions help address some of your cybersecurity goals. Cybersecurity is a very big topic. So we're going to focus on one thing today, and that's ransomware. So you might ask yourself, why is this such a big problem right now? The first ransomware attack occurred in 1989 when the attacker had to make 20,000 floppy disks by hand and snail mail them to across 90 countries to various researchers. And that encrypted file names and offered to unlock them only in return of a licensing fee. But it seems like only the past 5 or 8 years that it has really become a problem for the industry. Experts from cybersecurity ventures estimate that one attack will take place every 11 seconds. The reason we need to kind of look into why there's this unprecedented rise of cyber attacks now. And the reason for that, I would say, is threefold. One is access. Everything is connected. Even small organizations have dozens of endpoints, and an attacker can be at the end of your network at a click of a button. Second reason is the attack surface is massive, right from the hardware and software in your environment. Everything can be penetrated. The third reason is there is a huge amount of incentive. There are trillions of marketable data behind corporate firewall, and the organized bad actors and syndicates want to get their hands on this marketable data. So with that, I would want to kind of delve a little bit deeper into the next section and provide a context as let us look at the typical ransomware attack sequence. Then we can look at common approaches to defense. Here is a typical ransomware attack sequence that you're seeing on the slide, and I'm going to break it down further into 4 stages. The first stage is compromise, is when we initially contact ransomware. And when our first system is compromised, somebody clicks on a link, somebody visits the wrong website. Once that initial compromise is made, we are entering the staging phase. This is where the malware attempts to establish a foothold in your environment. It contacts its command and control infrastructure. Then it starts to run several exploits to escalate privileges and gain access to other machines. Then comes the encryption phase. The first part of it is when the malware attempts to defeat any of your countermeasures. So it looks for processes, for antivirus system, monitoring systems and backup systems and tries to shut them down. Then it'll search for backups and backup repositories and attempt to encrypt or delete those. It may even pivot through log information and log files to attempt to attack the backup infrastructure itself. Then the encryption happens and keys are sent back to the command and control infrastructure. Lastly, hopefully, is the mitigation phase. If you've done your homework and if you've prepared well, as we will discuss later, you will have the opportunity to isolate the attack and perform recovery to get your business back up and running. Now, let's also look at how AI and ML can play its part. As we look at all of the data we are supposed to track across our entire environments, we are rather presented with a rather difficult task. Thousands of users, their systems, endpoints, millions of data points being collected, correlated, compared to each other, and compared to past results and known signatures. We have to adjust our models and monitoring based on the new information and predict new attacks and recommend security actions. Now, this is what machine learning is designed for. The ML model is configured to gather relevant metrics and build a baseline profile of the environment. Then when deviations occur, they get a score and the algorithm records responses from the operators. In this way, it learns from the response to alerts which combinations indicate problems, and based on this information can predict attacks that are encountered in the future. Solutions can be available both on-prem and as a service, with telemetry being sent back to cloud services for analysis. Often, these solutions integrate to industry sources for virus signatures and other indicators of compromise, threat alerts, and even do big data analysis. So, with Hitachi, we have sister organizations that have solutions such as privileged access management and a whole host of solutions that caters to solutions in the cybersecurity space. But what I would like to kind of for us to look at is what are the 5 pillars of the cyber resiliency framework, and then I will kind of talk about very specifically from Hitachi Vantara, especially in the digital infrastructure side, how do we ensure we provide you that anti-ransomware strategy. So now let's look about maintaining best practices to ensure a really strong security posture. Cyber criminals are constantly changing their tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTP as it's called, in response to new vulnerabilities that emerge, new technologies they can attack, and the countermeasures that are being used by cybersecurity professionals. So here's a framework that we can follow to keep our environment healthy from a cybersecurity point of view. There are 4 essential pillars as you see in the presentation, that is the identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Let's quickly look at some of these pillars. First, you would need to identify and inventory all of your environment. You need to understand what all your connected hardware looks like, all your connected software, and what connections you have to other partners where there is a trust relationship that might be leveraged to attack your environment. You would need to review your data protection plan. Mitigation is your only trusted recourse to get your data back. So you need to have a strong plan and a strong architecture that will allow you to get the data back off your backups, and you need to test your recovery plans. You need to review the response plan as well. Everyone should know what their role is in terms of containing the threat and what the steps are for mitigating. Educating and training the users are key. So as part of this, I'm going to be touching upon three different solution elements in the mitigation phase that Hitachi Vantara has to offer. And what I'm focusing today is primarily around the unstructured data. As we know, unstructured data forms the large bulk of an organization's repository. So we will look at, three steps. That is, how do you protect using solutions such as modern object storage? How do you recover, especially for, with regards to mobilizing your data to your end users and applications? Finally, how do we identify, through detection and governance, ensure there's compliance using our Hitachi content intelligence? So all these three solutions are available. And like I said, my talk today is focused around the unstructured side of data. Now, mitigation, the protection is a very important strategy. Protecting the core is very important. As you all know, there's this popular 3-to-1 backup strategy, such as 3 copies of the data, including production, across 2 copies of media, and 1 offsite vaulting. The backup data is not secure, and sometimes the last line of defense is breached. So therefore, we need to have something called the true immutability. The true immutability has 2 attributes. One, it has to apply to the lowest level of the application or IT stack, which is the storage layer. And secondly, it cannot be something that you can override with any credentials or token that you can obtain in the local environment. So therefore, advancements in technology such as object lock ensures that we add one more layer of defense between attackers and the critical data. So the Hitachi content platform, which is the modern object storage, has the capability to ensure object immutability or provide you the object lock. So it ensures that the file cannot be altered or deleted until a given date. Object immutability or object lock enforces a worm model, which is write once, read many, meaning after a data is written, it cannot be modified or deleted for a given time, and any modification or deletion will fail. This creates a virtual air gap for the data, like what tape vaulting does with an LTO system. But we all understand managing and maintaining tapes across various generations is a complex and a cumbersome process. Thus, object immutability provides the technology to ensure immutability of the data. When a backup vendor provides immutability or immutable backups, then object lock functionality is an essential feature of the target repository, such as the Hitachi object storage. You will all be thrilled to know we were one of the first vendors to certify our object storage platform using this feature called the object lock. Now, there are different use cases that you can use this object lock for. And I'll talk about 3 such use cases. One is you can go ahead and replace an LTO tape system. Thus, virtual air gap ensures immutability of the backed up data. We can retain and protect sensitive data in industries that are subject to compliance, such as HIPAA, Section 17A, GDPR, and all of those. As part of business continuity, customers can be assured during a ransomware attack that their backups are safe and can be restored. As part of business continuity, customers can be assured during a ransomware attack that their backups are safe and can be restored from the immutable backups that were created. We can also have an effective anti-ransomware strategy at remote and edge locations using our cloud gateway software or appliance. So On the right, you see that enterprise mobility. So that's a cloud file gateway. It's available as an appliance. So we can deploy that in all your edge locations. It provides the various NAS protocol access, and it basically then tiers the data into the object storage platform, which is immutable, which has worm enabled repository, which has hashing, which ensures that we hash the data, we are able to recover the data. You have capabilities such as very strong AES 256 encryption. So all of those are available right from edge to the core. Let's look at our next solution, which is essentially how do we protect data for end users and mobile users, especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic. Digital workplace initiatives have become very important. A lot of users are working from home. They continue to work from home. As a result, especially for the unstructured data, how do we ensure that we have an efficient anti-ransomware strategy? So the solution that you're seeing on the screen is a secure enterprise file sync and share. That is completely secure, that is completely delivered from your data centers on premise. So users can access and collaborate across different teams, using the enterprise file sync and share. They can collaborate either through mobile devices, laptops, tablets, desktops, bring your own devices across various flavors. Now, the users, any file saved using this enterprise file sync and share is completely protected, is real-time synced back into the object storage platform. The object storage platform is completely enabled with worm functionality. Therefore, there is that immutability, and also there is versioning that is available. So what is great with this is you're able to recover to the previous good file before the ransomware attack took place. And all of this can be availed as a self-service for your users. So therefore, you know, the time to respond and the time to recover is fairly quick because the users can recover their own set of files. We have a lot of customers around Asia Pacific that have adopted this enterprise file sync and share solution. Now, the last one, which I want to kind of leave behind, is a very, very important solution, which is essentially how do you mitigate by doing detection and governance? And therefore, I bring Hitachi Content Intelligence. The Hitachi Content Intelligence automates the extraction, classification, and enrichment and categorization of data residing on both Hitachi and third-party repositories located on premise and in the cloud and across heterogeneous data repositories. It can be internal and external. And as you see on the left-hand side of the presentation, it could be various file shares, it could be S3, it could be the HCP Anywhere or the enterprise file sync and share that I spoke about. It could be your OneDrive, your SharePoint, Hadoop, any other unstructured data sources. So we are able to connect all these enterprise data sources, right? Therefore, once you're able to lay that very strong plumbing across, we are able to eliminate the dark data. We are able to eliminate the silos of data that is there. And this kind of approach reduces the time spent for searching what is needed or recreating what already exists. Additionally, content intelligence delivers guided data exploration based on automated classification and categorization. And there is immediate visibility to all of your data by unifying data access across disparate locations and data types. So as you would see, one of the use cases that we have, we're able to gather information from all these data sources, and we're able to classify classify these documents as non-restricted, restricted, confidential. Different various categorizations can be put in, and once you have this categorization, what we're able to do is then we're able to take actions. We're able to have important insights by transforming this data into valuable information. And then what you can do is you can manage the access to sensitive data with granular access control and security system integrations, the right data to the right person, at the right time, using personalized and self-service features and user experience, which is what I call data ops. Data now, it's called PriveSec ops. Essentially, it's all about getting the right data to the right place at the right time. And another use case that you would see on my slide is basically the regulatory compliance vault. So we're offering these two as a service to our customers. We can do data classification solution and regulatory compliance vault. So if you have very sensitive, personally identifiable information, those documents, can be searched, those documents can be processed, and then we can quarantine those documents, as you would see, on the right hand side, apply compliance, apply retention settings, and all of this is done on the object storage. So it's not only search and discovery, you're able to take actions, therefore you're able to detect and have a very strong governance, across your organization. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you, Dr. Deepak, for giving me this time. And I hope all of you found this presentation useful. Please reach out to me in case you would want to know more. If you want to kind of see demo, we'll be happy to facilitate that for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sudharsan, for sharing the vision of Hitachi Vantara on how it protects customer and user experiences with continuous data availability and ensuring data agility to meet business needs.